I'm here to talk to you about Power Apps Convergence, and the idea of this session is something that is relative new because it came in preview about in July of 2021. And I'm been working with that and building some stuff, some solutions, and some workarounds with this, and it's really a great thing that the Power Platform gave us to play with. Okay, so let me start with the session. Okay, well, my name is Aikel Mendoza. I'm a business apps MVP. I'm also the business apps team lead at Intellectia Technologies. It's the place that I work with. And I'm also the author of the Power Apps Cookbook. As the name implies, it's a cookbook, a recipe book about the Power Apps because, well, I love this platform. I love Power Apps in any way, in any flavor, because and as the name implies, the cookbook is a recipe book that builds small solutions for typical business scenarios or business requirements that you might that you might need to solve. Okay, so I'm the author of this book, and you can find me mostly on Twitter. With this is my handle. My name is a particular name, so you can find me anywhere with my name. And this you can find me also on the website of my company, Intellectia. I'm on my personal blog where I put some workarounds on some stuff that I found on when working with Power Apps. Okay, first I want to thank you for being here because these events, these community events, are not the same without you. Okay, and okay, I'm going to talk today about Power Apps. This is the one of the components of the Power Platform that is focused on building solutions or building applications in the Power Platform. Each component of the Power Platform solves a particular need or solve something that is required. Power Apps help us build high productivity business applications because it solves almost everything that you might need or you might require for a business solution. And before going into the convergence type of things, I'm going to tell you about the different types of Power Apps. As you may know, there are Canvas apps and the model-driven apps. There's also Power Apps portals, but portals doesn't serve as a solution to build applications. So it's something particular because it's a portal. Okay, but Canvas apps and model-driven apps build solutions depending on the needs of this of the required solution. For example, in Canvas apps, you can build any type of user interface. You can build if the business requires a specific UI, a specific color, a specific way of displaying the information for the user, or depending on the device the user is going to use. For example, a tablet or a mobile phone. You can build any type of user interface because, as the name implies, it's a canvas. It's an open canvas to build these user interfaces. Okay. The model-driven apps, on the contrary, works with or builds upon the data. The data. Sorry, you build a specific data structures, and the applications build upon that. You create your specific tables. You create your specific views or whatever that you might need. And the application builds upon that. Both are the greatest things on their each own scenarios, because if you want to build something really quick for entering data and validating data, you can build a model-driven apps. But there are some needs that you might need to build a Canvas app because a particular requirement of this. But then on July 2021, Microsoft surprised us with this announcement. That is the name of custom pages. That is the converging model of model-driven apps and Canvas apps. This allows us to build an integration really tight between both types of Power Apps, mainly being model-driven apps, the core of this type of solutions, adding Canvas apps into the mix. And it's a great news because there are some times, or you might find in your requirements or the application or solutions that you build, that sometimes you need that extra touch or that extra value that Canvas apps gives you, but not in the model-driven apps. So sometimes you need you build this application outside the model-driven solution, and the user needs to change from one solution to the other. But this is a way to solve all this. First, I'm going to tell you about the advantages of using this mix or this type of solution, or bringing Canvas apps into the model-driven apps. First, the Power Apps Studio for Canvas apps allows us to have some features that we don't necessarily have in model-driven apps. For example, as I told you before, the designer lets you build the interface as exactly as you see fit, as you might need for your solutions. The Canvas app also allows you to take advantage of the device capabilities. For example, the GPS for the location information, the ink, the camera, or some stuff really easily, because you build the application and start putting the controls, and you can have that information available for you, or the model-driven apps you are building, in this case, for the Convergence. And the language that you build these solutions is PowerFX. It's an excellent inspired language that allows you to build this type of logic for your applications. This is going to be the main language for all the platform, because Power Apps already uses this. Power Automate is going to be using that language as well, and even Dataverse for the calculated columns is going to be using PowerFX. So the better if you start working with that language, or knowing this language, is going to be better for you, because it's going to be used everywhere. And one of the main capabilities of Canvas apps is that it allows you to connect to multiple data sources at the same time. You can build a solution that connects to SharePoint and also to Azure and an Azure SQL database, a Dataverse, all at the same time, to build a specific requirement. Maybe you need to get some information that comes from SharePoint, process that information, then send add a record to a table in Azure SQL, and then log and audit information into the Dataverse table. All that things, or all those requirements are available to build with Canvas apps. And speaking of those connectivity solutions, we already have more than 500 connectors built in the Power Platform. And not only built for connecting to Microsoft services. You can, as you see on this slide, we can connect to Google Drive, to Jira, to Mailchimp, to many services around the world, that allows you to build a specific solution. But you can also connect to on-premise data, not only cloud data or an API or whatever. You can connect to local services to gather information. Maybe in your organization you have an on-premises server that cannot be migrated because some specifications. You can get the data using a data gateway to get that to use in your solutions. And also you can create your own custom connectors. If there are a custom API that you use in your organization, or a specific API that has no Power Platform connector, you can connect to that. You can build that custom connector that allows you and your organization to connect to those services. Okay, and as I told you before, using multiple data sources in a single application is one of the main goals of using Canvas apps. And if we take all these features or these advantages of Canvas apps into a model-driven app, you get a whole complete solution, because everything that you might need or to solve in a different way, you can now build it or solve it using a complete solution. I'm going to show you a demo. Let me take this. This is the one that I'm going to put here. Okay. Custom pages for model-driven apps work this way. You can have a page into your model-driven app in many different ways that shows the embedded application inside the model-driven app. So I'm going to show you here in this documentation from Microsoft. You can have the custom pages as a regular page in a model-driven app, as a custom dialog center in your screen, as a dialog on the right, or as a pane in, for example, on a view. So you can put any of these apps just around anywhere in your model-driven apps. There is this flexibility allows you to build your solutions with both types of apps into one, for example, in this case, into one model-driven app. This is what why I told you before that is mainly the case of the model-driven apps building the solution. That's where you start, and then add some custom pages to your solution to build your application. Okay, I'm going to show you a demo of this type of integrations. As I always love to do, I'm going to start with some examples. This is a solution that is called Teams Nation 2022, and this solution has a table that is called locations. You can start working with this table just by creating a new record here and said, okay, this is the name of the location. This is the description. I can enter the latitude and the longitude of the specific location and save the information. But this won't be actually good for the users that are going to enter this information, because okay, it's 22, 28, and put these numbers here for the latitude and longitude is going to be kind of difficult. It wouldn't be better to have a custom page to get that information from the device, maybe the computer, maybe the tablet or whatever, using for example, a custom page that has all the capabilities of Canvas apps? This is the case. And the opportunities catcher that you see here is an application that allows me to get that information into Dataverse using a custom page. This that you see here is a Canvas Power App. As you can see, it's really fast. It just opened without any issues. I'm going to show you how it works. Let me, for example, excellent place to travel. And this is a great opportunity. Okay, if I click here, I'm going to get the location I'm right now. Not actually the Eiffel Tower. I'm using an extension here that is faking my location, so you can, for example, tell the browser that you are on a specific fixed location. But okay, I'm going to set this information. I'm going to save the opportunity, and you're going to see here in the gallery all the records that I'm creating in my Dataverse table. If I change this, for example, to, I don't know, state and sorry. Oh, okay. Let me move around because the search provider is not working. Okay, let me put the pin here, and if I refresh this page so it get the location again, I'm going to create a new record, another place to visit, use, for example. And if I click here, the location change for me. So I'm going to save this opportunity as well. And as you can see, I'm interacting with the Canvas app, in this case, the custom page, with Dataverse. As easy as I would be doing this using a regular model-driven app. There's also some things that are really nice with this. If I go here and change the location, if I go here and click Open Record, it will navigate to the specific record in the model-driven app. So you can go back and forth with the custom page and the model-driven app as the solution were just one solution. So this is a great tool or a great opportunity to build applications that run on the same look and feel for the user. Another example of building applications here are not only applications that are business center as this one. I can embed almost everything. This is one of the first applications I built in Power Apps, and that's the case of Power Trader. I already built this model-driven. Oh, sorry, somebody is tweeting about me right now. And this solution allows you to build any type of solution of any type of Canvas app as complex or as simple as you want into your model-driven solutions. Just to show you, this is not Twitter. I'm going to change the theme, and this is actually changing the UI for the application that you see here. And you can build almost any application here, and you need to be aware that you need to build these applications responsive, because the model-driven apps are already responsive. So you need to take that into account when building your solutions. Let me put this in default. Okay, perfect. So to explain a little more, another thing or another example of building these solutions, all these custom pages. If I go to any of these records that that we gather using the opportunity catcher application, the custom page, we also have another example here that if I click here on the map button that you see here, I'm going to open another Canvas app, in this case, a custom page that is showing me the image of that location. I'm using the static Bing Maps utility that allows me to get a picture of the location using this latitude and longitude information. So you can build complete pages in custom pages or regular dialogues for your users. There are some things that you might need for this. For example, you might need to create a Power Apps component framework to get these maps, or some, well, in this case, the maps are already, there are already a solution in model-driven apps, but some specific requirement that you might need to do a Power Apps component framework component, but using a custom page is an easier approach, an easier way to build this or to solve these solutions, okay? So I'm going to go back. I'm going to show you here how is the opportunity catcher, how it works on the inside. And here, as you can see, is kind of a Canvas app designer, because it looks just the same as the Power Apps Studio for Canvas apps. It looks more like the Dataverse for Teams edition of building Canvas apps, because it uses the newest controls with the newest interface, using the Fluent interface to build this. As you can see, the text input and the labels and the buttons have a different look and feel. Okay, so I built this interface. I'm using Power Effects, for example, to display the map here. For example, I'm using the URL for Bing's map to just to prepare the URL using the latitude and the longitude to give that information to Bing Maps, so I can have an static page and a static picture of the map created for me. And to save that information is as simply as patching the information to the table in Dataverse, as simple as that. And to open the record is just by clicking the navigate. If you navigate to a record, it opens model-driven apps with a specific record for you. There are some other options to navigate to the records and to open a record from the custom page or the model-driven app with that is available in the documentation. That is really easy, and it gives you more flexibility to go between one application or one solution to the other. Okay, let me close here. Let's go back to the slides. Okay. Not everything is good for this type of pages, because mainly because this is kind of new. It just hit GA just about 1 month or something like that. So it's being developed as we speak. So we don't have all the things that we already have in the Canvas app world into the custom pages solution. Okay. For example, there are missing controls. We have some controls in Canvas apps that are not available in the custom pages editor, in the custom pages studio. For example, to give you an example, just about 2 weeks, there was no PDF editor, the PDF viewer, sorry, for in that is available in the Canvas app. There was no control for the custom pages. Now it does. So this means that they are evolving this solution to build custom pages. Another thing that is lacking is the design options. You have many design options in the Canvas apps. For example, if you want to put a text input and change the border color or something like that, you can do that on custom pages. There are some things that you need to be aware of that when building this type of solutions. And the other one is that we are to be able to use custom pages, especially when we're using those in panels or on dialogues or something like that, we're stepping out the low-code development techniques, because we are starting to use JavaScript. We need to understand how to send data from model-driven apps to these custom pages. There are some things that you need to be aware. It depends on the skills of the makers when building this type of solutions, because they need to be aware to know JavaScript, how it works, and stuff like that. I'm going to show you an example of these disadvantages here. Okay, this is the regular Power Apps Studio for Canvas apps. You can create all these controls. You can use mixed reality, AI builder, charts, shapes, all these controls that you find here. Let me open, for example, media. You see that you have the image, the camera, the barcode scanner, many controls. So for example, the PDF viewer that I told you before, and the map. You can start using those here without any issues. For example, let me put here, I don't know, the image, the add picture here, and also, I don't know, no, shapes now. For example, no, let me put the map control here. Okay. Oh, the map is not going to work because it uses the geospatial features of Canvas apps. Well, it allowed me to put the map here. Okay. So I have all these controls here in the Power Apps Studio for Canvas apps. It's the regular Power Apps Studio that we know. But when we are creating custom pages that the user interface looks almost the same, but we don't have all the controls that we have, for example, in this case. If I expand media, you see all these controls here, but if you expand media here, we only have image. So we need to be aware that not all controls that we find in Canvas Apps Studio works for custom pages, but there's a workaround. It's not official, it's not supported, but it comes around to doing this. I'm going to take this control, copy, paste, and you already have the PDF viewer in your custom pages. It's not official, as I told you, it works because we have tested this on some solutions that we have. You need to open both the Canvas Studio and the Custom Pages Studio to do this, because they need to be on the same browser open at the same time. So you can take, for example, this. I'm not really sure if the maps is going to work. Okay, I need to enable this in the admin center, but as you can see, you can copy some things from one. Let me see if this works. Okay, this works out well. This is a control behind it. Okay, you can copy and paste from the regular Canvas Studio to the Custom Pages Studio. Doing is as I told you, is not an official solution. It's not a workaround, but okay, you can start working with that because it already works. And the other thing that I was telling you about, for example, if I enter a text box here, if I input a text box here, and I want to change, for example, the border color to another thing that is not this gray color, as you can see, I don't have these options here or these properties here to change this text box. If I do it here on the regular Canvas Studio, you can see that I can change the color, the I don't know, the thickness of this border, and even change the, for example, the radius of this border to 0. And I can do that in, oh, sorry, in here on the Canvas, on the custom page studio. Even I tried looking for the advanced properties, because sometimes you can find them here. And there are another thing that I forgot to put on the slides. Not all properties work the same. For example, the padding, if I set the padding top here, as you can see, I'm not setting the padding of the text inside the text input. I'm setting the padding of the control as a whole. So for a specific design, you can do whatever you want. In the case of Power Apps, if I change the padding of the top padding, for example, I change the padding of the text inside the control. So there are some specific things that you cannot do on custom pages, but I don't know, for that specific reason, or the example that I just show you, to get the location information, because I'm using Power FX to get the location information. All those things that you might need to, or you might want to do in your model-driven solutions, you can do it with custom pages. Another disadvantage of using this is that, for example, in the case that I showed you before, let me go back to the, sorry, to the advantages here. To do this, to click here and put that information to this application, I need to find a way to connect to the custom page and say, okay, the user is clicking the button on this record. So open that information or do whatever do you want to do on this record. So to do this, we need to use JavaScript. In this case, in the documentation, there are many examples of how to do this, how to send record information to the custom page, the way to open the custom page in a panel or in a dialog on front center or whatever that you want to do. There are many examples, so don't be afraid that this is not undocumented, but you will find this type of solutions of JavaScript code to be able to open this solution. How I'm going in this code that you see here, I'm getting the information from the selected record. I'm going to show you how it's done right now. I'm setting this information to tell the JavaScript code what is the Canvas app, the custom page, sorry, that I want to open, and what is the information that I'm going to send to that custom page. For example, the name of the entity, the table, and the ID of this record. And the navigation options tells how it's going to open that custom page. If it's going to be a dialog, the title of the dialog, and at the end, navigate to that custom page and open. And after it works or fails, do one thing or the other. So once I send that information to the custom page, you need to go here, for example, in the app on start code, and ask for that information. In this example, I'm setting this global variable, global record. If I'm receiving a parameter called record ID, as you can see in here is, well, here, record ID. If I'm not receiving this param, get the first record of the locations table. It's the one that I have connected to this custom page. If I'm receiving this parameter, okay, then look for that parameter in the locations table. I simply connected the locations table to this custom page. And then I can start working with that record, for example, in this case, to request the the image of the map for I don't know, for in this case for Bing Maps, getting the information from the record that I'm actually working with. So how can we do all this? How to integrate everything that you see here? This is kind of difficult because, as I told you before, you need to make many changes to your solution to be able to call that custom pages. Sorry, I changed the environment without. Okay, here's the Teams Nation. I'm going to close everything on the right. Yeah, bye-bye. And here in my solution, I'm going to open the model-driven app using the preview designer. This is not possible using the regular designer. So how can we create these custom pages using the preview designer? You can click here, add page. It's going to ask you if a regular table and view based form, I want to build a dashboard or a custom page. If I click a custom page, I can create a new one or use an existing one. I'm already using all these custom pages that I have in this solution, so it's not showing any other. If I click add, the Power Apps Studio will open up, so I can build my application, and it will appear here as, for example, the opportunity catcher. One of the great things of this designer is that it shows you a preview of how the application is going to be visible for your users. So now that I have in this case the application here, I can I forgot to tell you, if you add the custom page, if you don't want to use the application as a whole, you can unclick here, so it doesn't show in the navigation. That is this bar that you see here. If you plan to use it inside your application as the button that I show you right now. So if I create the application here and then I create the application, it's going to appear on the list of items that I have in my model-driven app, as you can see here. So the other thing that I did was to create a link to my location table. Location table. It's not showing because it's already on my solution. And then on the location, once I have the location here, I can click here and set edit command bar in preview as well. This allows me to modify the buttons in my model-driven apps. For example, for the main grid, when I'm working with this table on the main grid, on the main form, once I open a record, on a subgrid view when these records are in a subgrid, or on an associate view when it's in an associate view in the model-driven app. So if I click here on the main form and I click edit, it's going to show me a designer for those buttons that you see here. Right now, we can't change the standard controls. For example, the save control, you see this link here that is said, is this read only? Legacy buttons are not available to be changed. Maybe in the future, we will be able to hide some buttons or whatever that you might need to change in your application. For the meantime, the ribbon workbench is a great tool to do that. How we create this? For example, in the map, I simply click new command and set the properties here. I'm going to click on the map so you can see all the properties that I created. I set the label for the button. I use a web resource for the icon. You already have some icons here, and you can use any other from your solution or your environment. It will appear here. It's a great tool to see them because you can see the actual icon here, and the action that this button is going to do. You can make it execute PowerFX code, or you can run JavaScript. In the case to open a custom page, you need to set it to run JavaScript. As you can see, run formula. This is a PowerFX formula, or run JavaScript to build a JavaScript code that I showed you before, that I already have uploaded in my environment. And what is the function that I'm going to to execute. In this case, sorry, forgot. I needed to remain the code open, but as you can see here, I need to open the, I'm going to run the function open side panel, and I'm going to send a parameter that is the primary control. The primary control is the actual form of the actual model-driven form that I'm going to send to the custom page. So where from that form, I can query, for example, give me the table that this form is using. Give me the record ID of the form that I'm using. So I just simply set this information here and save and publish and execute the application. As you see, is kind of difficult. Once you do it once, one or two times, you get used to that, but it's not as easy as you might expect from a low-code technique. Okay, but it's a great way to execute these applications. But just so you know, using, for example, if I click here and I said I want to run a formula, PowerFX or the custom page solutions or this new model-driven designer creates a component library to hold all the code that you put in these buttons. If you're going to use, for example, in this case, PowerFX to do something. Maybe you need to click a button to create a record into another table in your Dataverse environment. You don't need a Canvas app, a custom page for that. Just simply click the code and create the data in there. So it's a great way to execute code easily using PowerFX. Okay, let me go back to the slides. And the last thing that I want to show you is the embedding approach. Not everything is custom pages. You can embed Power Apps inside those forms that you already use on model-driven apps. And it's a great tool for some scenarios that you might encounter in your requirements, okay? Okay, I think I have it already open here. No? Okay, I'm going to use that one. Okay, this is the example that you see here, items embedded. If I go here and I click this record, I'm going to see this record that says this code. This is a sport helmet. I'm setting a picture here. I'm getting information here. This is a Canvas app, a regular Canvas app created in the model-driven designer, in the forms designer, the classic form designer of model-driven apps that allows me to create a Canvas app that is already connected to this form. If you see here, I'm connecting to a database that is already in Azure SQL. If I create another record with some information from this table, the product table, I'm going to show you how it's done. If I create here and I click new, I'm going to set the name of this record like this. This is a mountain frame, and the reference is 717. I click save. The Canvas app is already detecting that I already have a record here, and it's showing me all the records that it starts, that it starts from FRM94. That is here. Well, I don't know. Sorry, FR. Well, believe me, I don't find them here. If I click, for example, this one, if I change it to this one, and then save it, it's going to show me it's this long sleeve logo jerseys that you see here on the database. It's actually a great way if you need to connect to an on-premise gateway or some API to get that information here without importing that information into Dataverse. Maybe that you need to just query the price of this for a legacy ERP service. You need to just query the price of this item. You create this item, the Canvas app is going to query the information, and I'm going to send it back to your application. Having some changes, it has a great look and feel because it looks just by that is created for a model-driven app, and it gets the job done, right? And that's it. I think I'm about the time limit. Thank you. I hope that everything that you saw here was helpful for you, because embedding or having those Canvas apps into the model-driven world is a great way to step outside of the possibilities or the features that you already have on model-driven applications that are many capabilities that you have on model-driven apps, because it's one of the types of Power Apps that I love. But Canvas apps always goes to the rescue whenever I need to step outside of the features that I already found in the model-driven solutions. So I hope that you like my session, and if you have any questions, just unmute or put it on the chat or whatever. Or if you want to, you can reach me on Twitter or whatever to ask me any questions.